So the Browns did little to nothing to improve that offensive line last year in the offseason, and it showed. The NFL's worst offensive line in pressure rate allowed, 45.5%. And you alluded to that relative to Shedeur Sanders. Additionally, worst offensive line in running back rush yardage before contact per carry. The Browns averaged less than half a yard, zero point 0.4 yards per carry, which makes the work that Quinshon Judkins did before he got hurt even more impressive. I guess what I'm getting at, how bad was the offensive line?
It was between them and probably Las Vegas. It was the worst in the NFL. I think between all the veterans you have that are kind of aging out right now, the injuries that they've dealt with, they just never had a left tackle this year at all, which is a huge problem, right? I mean, you're looking at when we talk about drafting offensive linemen, it's not just one of those first round picks. Hell, honestly, if they doubled up and took an offensive lineman with both of their first round picks, I wouldn't even blame them. But it was the one thing I'm with you that I was surprised that they came out of last year's draft with none of. They didn't draft a single offensive lineman or a single wide receiver. You got two quarterbacks, you got two running backs. And look, they hit on a lot of their picks. They drafted good football players, but it's being shown over and over now in the past decade, you can't win a championship without a good offensive line, right? You look at these teams and look at the way New England rebuilt theirs in the offseason. Denver's arguably got the best one in the NFL. Seattle's been building theirs with some young players. The Rams offensive line is very good. You've got to have this. You know, you look at teams like even a Houston or the Chargers who make the playoffs but have terrible offensive lines, they don't get very far, right? So you have to build this. I would argue it's the second most important unit beyond your quarterback, right? And that's going to determine your success is winning in the trenches. They've got to use multiple assets this offseason to fix this.
Yeah, and they should be able to do some of that in free agency. But I'm with you. If you think about it, and Andrew Berry had a great draft. I'm not saying he didn't, but the foundation of a passing attack, and this is a passing league, would be your blindside tackle or your tackles, your quarterback, and a playmaking wide receiver. They need all of those, all of them.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a matter of what the priority is going to be of fixing those things. Now, again, with the lack of quarterback depth in this class, because there's a chance that there's only two quarterbacks that could be viable starters maybe in this class with Fernando Mendoza from Indiana and Ty Simpson from Alabama. They're probably not going to get a chance to fix that part. So spend this year. I know it's frustrating. They're going to have to go through another frustrating quarterback season maybe unless they can really develop Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. Spend this year, build the rest of this roster, build a roster that a young quarterback can come into and have success in early, right? I think that's really got to be a big focus for this team. You see kind of the way the New Orleans Saints have done it. And, you know, for Tyler Shuck, they had Chris Olave, the number one receiver. They had Juwan Johnson, a solid tight end. They drafted two tackles 2 years in a row in the first round in Talisi Fuaga and Kelvin Banks Jr. Build the rest of this team. And when it's time for a quarterback to be inserted in there as a franchise guy, then that time will come. But they can't do it with this supporting cast the way it is right now.